Hey everyone, welcome. We're going to dive into something that honestly can make or break your financial legacy, annuity contract ownership. It might sound a little technical, but trust me, understanding who's in charge of your annuity is absolutely essential for making sure your financial plan works exactly the way you want it to. Okay, let's get into it.
So, let me ask you this. When it comes to your annuity, have you ever really stopped to ask, who really holds the power? Is it the person who put the money in, or the person whose life the whole thing is based on? The answer? Well, it has massive implications for your money, your taxes, and for the people you care about. To figure that out, you got to think of every annuity contract like a little production. There are 3 key players, right? And each one has a super specific job that determines how the whole show plays out.
Yep, the best way to wrap your head around this is to picture a stage play. Seriously, you've got a director who's calling all the shots, you've got the lead actor, the star, whose performance the entire show is built around, and then you've got the understudy, just waiting in the wings for their moment to step into the spotlight.
Okay, so first up, you've got the owner. This is our director, right? This is the person, or hey, it could even be an entity, like a trust, that's in complete control of the contract. They fund it, they make all the important decisions, they have the final say on pretty much everything. They're running the whole production.
Then we have our lead actor. This is the annuitant. Now, this is the person whose life, their age, their life expectancy is used for all the math behind the scenes. Things like how big the income payments will be. They're the measuring life. The whole financial performance is based on them, but, and this is the critical part, they usually don't control the contract itself.
And last but not least, we've got the beneficiary. This is our understudy. They're named in the script, waiting patiently in the wings. Their role only kicks in when a very specific event happens, usually a death. That's their cue to step on stage and receive the death benefit. As long as the owner is alive, they have no say.
All right, so we've met the cast. Now let's get to the part where things can get a little tricky, the part that trips a lot of people up, the difference between the owner and the annuitant. It really boils down to one thing: control versus calculation.
And this, right here, lays it out perfectly. The owner, they're the controller. The annuitant, they're the measuring life. See, it's not about who's more important, it's that they have totally different jobs. One role holds the power, the other provides the data that makes the whole plan work.
So what does being the controller actually mean? Well, it means the owner holds all the cards. They're the only one who can name and change beneficiaries, the only one who can alter the contract's terms or request withdrawals. And this is a big one. They're the one responsible for paying any taxes on the gains. All that power rests with the owner.
Okay, this leads us to a really important idea in the contract: the trigger. What's the one thing that has to happen to set everything in motion? To bring our understudy, the beneficiary, out on stage? It all depends on how the contract is written.
Let's make this super concrete with an example. Picture this. Dan is the owner. He buys an annuity, and it's based on Kathy's life. She's the annuitant. And he names Jessica as the beneficiary. Now here's the million-dollar question. Whose death actually triggers that payout for Jessica? Is it Dan's or is it Kathy's?
And the answer? It all comes down to a tiny but huge detail in the contract. Is it owner-driven or annuitant-driven? If it's an owner-driven contract, Dan's death is the trigger for Jessica to get the benefit, even if Kathy is still alive. But if it's an annuitant-driven contract, it's Kathy's death that matters. You can see how getting this one detail right is absolutely critical to making sure your wishes are actually carried out.
Okay, so with all that in mind, let's look at how this stuff actually works in the real world. I mean, what are the most common ways people set these things up?
This table breaks it down really nicely. The most common setup by far is when the owner and the annuitant are the same person. That's perfect if you're planning your own retirement. But you can also have them be different people. That's a great setup for, say, a spouse or a parent funding a contract for a child. For more complex estate plans, you might see a trust as the owner, or a couple might go for joint ownership to get the most flexibility.
All right, so we've got the theory down. Now let's get practical. Let's make this actionable. Here's a quick checklist for smart ownership. Basically a way to help you dodge some of the most common and expensive mistakes.
First thing, and this is a big one, always name a primary and a contingent or a secondary beneficiary. Think of it as a backup plan. It saves so much headache later. Second, if you need to pull some cash out, look for those free withdrawal amounts first. Don't jump straight into surrender charges. Third, think about adding a contingent owner. That can make the transfer of control seamless.
Fourth, a 1035 exchange is a tax-free way to move to a better annuity if you find one with better features. And finally, if it's an IRA annuity, you've got to coordinate your required minimum distributions, your RMDs, across all your accounts.
Look, at the end of the day, here's what it all boils down to. This stuff isn't just boring paperwork or some technical detail. Understanding these roles, owner, annuitant, beneficiary, that is what gives you the control over your own financial legacy. It's how you make absolutely sure your money goes to the right people at the right time, exactly the way you planned.
So I'll leave you with this. When you look at your own plan, ask yourself this really powerful question. Is your annuity actually designed to follow your life and your unique intentions, or is it just set up to follow the money? Knowing who really holds the power? Well, that changes everything.